You know when they say love at first sight doesn't exist. It's true.
Yeah, I was looking for a rebound. I was like, she'll do.
And I found myself engaged, not to John, to somebody else. It's story time, friends. We have been asked repeatedly how we met and our love story.
It's a story of love indeed.
You know when they say love at first sight doesn't exist. It's true. Just kidding. We're gonna take it back to the beginning. John, his beginning was very simple. He's a country boy, born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was not. I was a rebellious teenager who moved out as soon as I could, traveled from town to town, and I found myself engaged in North Carolina. Not to John, to somebody else.
Plot twist!
That didn't work out. But
Obviously.
I had a job. I decided to stay here when that ended because I was a nanny and I worked at the Apple Store and I really loved my job. I was 21, living on my own. I didn't really know anyone here, so I pretty much just worked.
Living that dream life.
Living the dream life. So my nanny job ended, which was great timing because I actually got a promotion. I was a computer technologist. What is that word?
Technician?
Yeah, that's it.
A genius.
Okay, that's technically the job title, but I feel weird saying that. I was a genius at the Apple Store. That's what I did. I worked with a guy named Rob, who this guy knew since he came out of his mom.
So me and Rob have been best friends
You
our whole
didn't even
life.
like bat an eye at the
It's
way
true.
that I described
Rob was there
it.
waiting for me. So Rob and I were friends our whole lives, and I had just gone through a breakup myself some months before. Rob's like, hey man, there's this girl who works at the Apple
Hold
Store.
on, I'm
with me."
crying, but like it's not because this is super sweet. It's because the sun is bright and my allergies are killing me.
So Rob's like, hey man, there's this girl, she works at the Apple Store with me, and she's really cool. It's
All
like,
of those
"You
things are
should-"
true.
He's like, you should totally meet her.
Rob, and at the same time, he's a man of few words. So like he mostly put his head down and worked at work, but
This
he
is
was
true.
like, you should be friends with my friend John. Like, I'm like,
And then
okay.
walks away.
Hey. Obviously.
Tactful.
Instantly I knew like what he meant by that, but I was like, what did I say? Oh, like it was probably just like, oh, okay.
I wish I had heard that conversation. Like
I know,
two,
I wish I could go
two
back and
somewhat
listen to it.
quiet people having a conversation that's literally probably exactly what she just said. What he said, and then her saying, oh, and then probably that was the end of it.
It might have been. But he said something about like you guys played music together or whatever. And so I think I downloaded your album on iTunes and like looked at the MySpace.
Oh yeah, this
whatever
is
you had.
MySpace.
Yeah. So it obviously I knew what he meant when he said you should be friends with my friend John. I was like, he's trying to like set me up with one of his friends or whatever. It just kind of moved on. Like wasn't in a place in my life where I was like, that's exactly what I need right now. Is like a boyfriend. Yay. Like I was just kind of like doing my own thing for the first time for a long time. Flip side, John had just like gotten out of a relationship that was kind of long and tumultuous and was like, what?
What
Looking
was
for
that?
someone
Okay,
to mend your broken heart?
Yeah, I was looking for a rebound, and I was like, she'll do. Just kidding.
Yep.
Well, Rob sends me this picture
Yeah.
of Danielle
I never
first.
saw that picture.
You are glad, because it was literally like if you had said, hey John, and I turned my head real quick and then snapped a picture, that was the picture of Danielle. And I was like,
It's like probably like you know, like you move really fast and it blurs.
yeah, it was like slightly blurred. So I was like, well, you know what, let me check this girl out. So I go on Facebook and I'm like, oh, this girl doesn't really look like the same girl in the picture he sent me. Her face isn't blurry. So I was like, well, maybe I will give this a shot.
So I was leaving work and the store, the Apple Store I worked in was in a mall. And I was coming out and in came Rob and his wife and John. They were like walking in. So as I'm walking out, like obviously knowing he said I should be friends with John. He's probably told John the same thing. Like, so I walked by, like I was walking out and I was just like, hey, how's it going? And to him, and he's like, who, me? It was the funniest thing. I'm like,
Well, it was, to
Yeah.
be fair, we were in a group of people, and I'm like,
two other people.
never met her, but she was just looking in our general direction, so it's like, why would I think that she's talking to me? Like, she knows Rob, so like that's something, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, you're my friend, I know you in real life. So no, I wouldn't have expected that. So I was a little caught off guard, and
He said, oh, good. And then
yeah,
that was
oh,
that.
good, see you later. Ah, what have I done? And so I walked
He
away in
did
shame.
whatever.
after that, maybe the next day, I get this friend request. And I'm like, oh, it's her. She's friend requested me. The game has changed. She loves me. And I click accept, only to see it say friend request sent. And I was like, what? And I looked. This is back, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, 8-9 years ago, on Facebook, you could send your friends friend suggestions that they should like,
oh, you should be friends
right,
with my friend John.
Exactly. So it showed up as like a friend request. It looked like it. I just was like so excited.
He accidentally sent me a friend request.
I click accept. It sends her a friend request.
And that's
I'm
the
like,
story of how we met.
What have I done?
The thing is, though, I at the time had probably just gotten a Facebook. I resisted it for a long time. So I was not very active.
She was
didn't
not active.
really use it a whole lot at all. So I don't know how long that, like, he sent me a friend request. I don't know how long it was sitting there before I actually saw it.
It felt like years, but I'm pretty sure it was just a couple days. So those were the longest few days of my life because she never accepted it. And I was like, great, well, that's the end of that. That was fun while it lasted. And then finally one day, it happened.
So I eventually saw the request and I accepted it.
The best day of her life.
Did I send you a message? Oh no, you sent me a message. After he did it, he's like, crap, I know I have to send her a message.
Oh yeah,
to, like,
I did.
Act like it was
And that made it even worse.
Yeah.
Because I think she read the message.
I saw it probably, didn't respond. But again, I was working a lot. Your message, what did it say? I bet I can find it.
Oh my goodness.
August 20th, 2010. 11:48 p.m. I am Rob's friend John. He said you just moved here not too long ago from PA. What brings you to NC? Let's start that conversation right away. And he also said you got our CD off iTunes. Good call on that, haha. What do you think of it?
Who am I? Who was I?
Oh, that. You sent me that message. I didn't respond to that. Then I saw you. Then I saw him because my next message was the next day at 11:45 p.m. like almost 24 hours later.
Oh, so it's just a day. It was just one day's time. It felt like years, I'm telling you.
Nice to meet you today, however briefly. Hold on, this is embarrassing. I was like really nerdy, I guess. I'm terrible at responding via Facebook, so if you'd like to engage in conversation, text messaging is probably the best bet. My number is blah, 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 blah.
Oh my goodness. If you'd like to engage in conversation.
But I used to use big words and vocabulary, and now I'm like, don't lick that! Pull up your pants.
This is true.
Poop on the potty!
She went from engage in further conversation.
I don't say those things to John. Oh.
You cannot say that.
I say those things to our kids. Oh my God.
Anyways. So
that was the last of our Facebook messages until we were married. I think he texted me probably right away.
I probably got the message at 11:40 whatever the next night. The next minute was like.
That's really sweet.
I don't know if I was cool enough to like not
to play it cool.
To play it cool.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we ended up being like, hey, do you want to like go get coffee sometime? Granted, we never actually met. Like the extent of our meeting each other was, hey, how's it going? Who, me?
See you later. I love you.
So we met for coffee in the evening, right?
Yeah.
And we sat outside this coffee shop and we just talked about, I don't know, it's just like so easy to talk. I think we were there for like 8 hours. I'm not kidding. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning.
It was I think 2 in the morning when we left, and we were outside just sitting.
Yeah, the coffee place closed down and we were just hanging out. And then from there, the next day we hung out. I don't know, what did we do? I don't know. But we hung out I think like every day for a good month, and then he had to go on a trip out of town. So yeah, that was, I mean, that's how we met. That was our first date, and it kind of just trickled into us dating, love. What was that? That was in August. 4 months later, we got pregnant with Tyler.
Want to hear that story?
And 5 months after that, we got married. And now we are almost 8 years deep in marriage and 6 kids. And seriously, I feel like we've just grown like better and stronger every single year.
Yeah, I agree.
We did premarital counseling, and it was a rocky first year. I feel like we had gone through a lot of hurdles that people sometimes don't go through for like 5 years of marriage before they ever endure some of that. But I don't know, it just feels like we always just we're committed to working through.
Yeah.
And now we're like a team. I mean, I really do. I feel like we've come to a place in our marriage and our life together where like we're just not always on the same page, and we fight about things, but for the most part, there's like no question about whether or not we'll make it or make it through. Like we just mesh well. So that is the story of how we maybe did find love at first sight. Maybe it was.
Maybe it was.
Hey, how's it going? Who, me? And now we're married.
Best line ever.
Well, we love you guys. We hope you enjoyed story time with Johnny and Danielle. We will do this again, so let us know what story you want to hear next. And please share with us your love story. We want to know how you met your spouse. Put it in the comments below. We'll see you guys next time.
Now these days